Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be taking a look at the melee weapon, the Sigma Octantis. But before we start, let's go over our commenter board. The first commenter of the last video was Sanjay Rao, and there was no commenter who had more likes than anyone else, so there's no top commenter from the last video. Then we have our recent channel supporters here of Whoop-De-Wham, Nice Bear, and Colonel 06. Thank you so much for your support. The Sigma Octantis is a login reward weapon, and you'll first be given the chance to pick this at day 300 login. Unique and interesting things about the Sigma Octantis is blocking attacks stores one charge that increases critical chance and status chance by 15% additively, stacking 4 times for your next attack. Attacking consumes these charges. Your aerial attacks throw your shield, enemies hit are open to finishers, and the thrown shield has a slight homing effect. And also, pressing your heavy attack button while your shield is in flight will cause it to explode for blast damage. Now personally, I felt that the throwing your shield and exploding it for blast damage thing that this weapon has is a bit clunky. I tried to incorporate it into normal gameplay to see how it was working, and I felt like all it did was interrupt my normal flow of melee attacking, and in the end really just decrease my DPS. So now let's go over the mods. And if you're keen, you probably already noticed that this is just your Billy basic melee influence build. The only thing that's different here is that instead of Berserker Fury, we have Gladiator Vice. And actually on this weapon, there is a consideration to just use Berserker Fury instead of Gladiator Vice anyway. And then it really is just your Billy basic melee influence build. But let's go over it anyway. We have the 6060 electric mod here. We're going to be using this to activate our Arcane of Melee Influence. Melee Influence is on a melee electricity status, 20% chance for elemental melee status effects to apply to enemies within 20 meters for 18 seconds. Galvanized Steel for critical chance and critical damage. Organ Shatter for critical damage. Gladiator Might for critical chance and critical damage. Condition Overload for flat damage per unique status affecting the target. We have Gladiator Vice next. This is 30% attack speed and critical chance. Now the weapon, if we look at a blank config here, it actually has a slightly above average base attack speed. And on weapons that have above average attack speed, sometimes I choose to go Gladiator Vice just for more crit chance instead of more attack speed with Berserker Fury. However, I feel like the Sword and Shield, their movesets are a little bit slower than some other weapons. So there really is a option to go Berserker Fury here instead. You would have to just use the weapon yourself, see how you feel. Do you feel like those combos are a little bit too slow? And in that case, just go Berserker Fury, which would give you 70% attack speed. Next, we have Blood Rush for 440% crit chance, Weeping Wounds for 440% status chance. In the stance slot, you have 2 options, but one of them is pretty bad. 11 Storm is not a good option. Pretty much all of the movesets on Final Harbinger are better than 11th Storm. And the one moveset, the Neutral Light, that produces forced slashes on both Final Harbinger and 11th Storm, produces 2 forced slashes on Final Harbinger, where it only produces 1 forced slash on 11th Storm. So Final Harbinger is pretty objectively better than 11th Storm there. In the Tennokai slot, we're going to be using Discipline's Merit. This initiates a Tennokai it enables a Tennokai after every 4 melee hits instead of at random. And in the Arcane slot, of course, we're using Melee Influence. This is how you build out the melee weapon, the Sigma Octantis. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing for future content. So now we'll have a 5-minute gameplay portion showcasing the weapon, and when that's done, we'll come back to the Orbiter and I'll give it my final thoughts. So I'll see you guys again after the gameplay. Okie dokie, we're about to start this 5-minute gameplay portion up here. Let's go ahead and hack the terminal, and we'll get into the Sigma Octantis here. So when I do a melee showcase, I always use 1 external, and that's a little pet that primes for me. And it's because pretty much every melee weapon in the game, except for 1 or 2 types, is going to use a mod called Condition Overload. And Condition Overload requires you to be priming for it. And you can either prime yourself, or you can use a pet to prime. So I'm just going to use a pet to prime for me here. That way it is consistent in all my videos. There's no human input in priming. This is a pretty good weapon. It's It's not bad, but I would argue it's also not great. It's good. It's just not a very exciting weapon, I would say. There's countless other weapons in the game that get built out the same as this, as a basic melee influence build. And, you know, they might have slightly better stats, or maybe they have something quirky that makes them better. This one, I mean, this one does have a little bit of, like, the quirky stuff where, like, you can, you know, jump and throw your glaive and stuff, but a lot of the quirkiness to this weapon is a little bit too niche. Like, a lot of it you're going to be almost hurting your DPS trying to do. Like, yeah, I can sit here and block and try to charge that thing where I get more crit chance and crit damage on my next attack, but it's kind of slow. Like, I'm gonna be hurting my DPS doing that. The jumping and throwing your shield is kind of a little bit too niche for me there. Now, there might be some Warframes or some things in the game that combo with you needing to get finisher kills. If that's the case, yeah, this is a good weapon for that, because you just open enemies up to finishers when you throw the shield at them. So that could be one niche where this weapon's pretty good. It is a pretty tight niche, though. You know, I can't think off the top of my head right now Warframes that super combo with that. Maybe some people can give some examples, but yeah, off the top of my head, I can't really think. Maybe one of Kumai's challenges is one of Kumai's challenges finisher kills. That could be it. I don't really know. I don't play a lot of Kumai. I need to do I need to learn her first, and then I need to do a video on her though, because she does seem very interesting. She seems like she would be my type of Warframe. Now, I'm just doing this gameplay doing the forward light, which is not the one that has 4 slashes. The neutral light, this one right here that I'm doing right here, this is the one that has 4 slashes. There's not a lot of movement to this, so I would probably recommend just running around doing forward light until you encounter like maybe a Thrax or an Eximus or definitely an Acolyte. Then switch over to the neutral light, which, I mean, the only thing you have to do is stop moving, right? Stop pressing W and then you transition over to neutral light. And that'll be slightly more damage, and you get the 2 force slashes in it. All right, we've got about a minute left here, and then we'll have Thraxes. We should have an Acolyte coming pretty soon too. This will be good against the Acolyte, like most, you know, crit heavy melee weapons. This will be good. It'll pretty much, you know, one heavy attack him or just a few regular attacks. We'll see when the Acolyte comes out. I'll show how it looks. Here's the Acolyte. Okay. I'll prep a heavy attack. You'll see it'll be about 1 heavy attack. Maybe if I get unlucky, it'll have a sliver left. All right, it's Malice. Why I don't know if it's my controller or not, but I'm having issues. Malice is making me into a liar there. I think both of my heavy attacks missed him initially. You made me into a liar, Malice. What the hell? All right, let's get these Thraxes down. I did finally switch to the Clamora, guys. Finally. I've been using the friggin' Raplac for so long. I have to get used to using the Clamora, though, because it's very short range. So, all right, that's 5 minutes. It is 535 kills, pretty standard. So we'll head back to the Orbiter now. Welcome back to the Orbiter, guys. So let's give our final thoughts on the Ligma and Octantis. Well, it's not a bad weapon. It's not a great weapon either. It's just your standard good melee influence weapon. You can insert any of like 100 other weapons that work the same way and get built out almost exactly the same here. The thing that hurts the Sigma Octantis is that it's a login weapon. So it becomes available to pick at day 300, then 500 if you don't pick it there, then 700. So you're potentially waiting 2 years worth of daily logins to get a weapon that is just, it's just your, it's good. It's just your basic melee influence weapon. There's a lot of other weapons that are exactly the same or better. So it's just a little bit sad there where you don't really get rewarded for logging in for 2 years straight. So that's my take on the weapon. Tell me what you guys think. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.